What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the garage. Specifically, welcome to our relationship show. We are delighted to have a good friend of mine on the show, and we're going to jump into some discussion. As usual, I would like you to share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell everyone you can share this with, because without you, we will not grow, and we like your support. As what I share with you on our other show, a politics show, where if once we reach to a certain status, we will start returning back to our community. We will start returning back to you as our guests, as our viewers, our audience. Give you things what we to show us our appreciation. So without further ado, we're gonna jump right into our show. Good night, Carlene.
Hi, Michael.
Francis.
How are you?
How are you doing?
I am good. How you doing?
I am doing great. Still amongst the living.
Oh,
And I'm grateful and thank God for that blessing, and just to be a part of humanity still.
Yes.
So that is great.
Yes.
How are you doing? How was your day?
I'm fantastic. I am fantastic. Yes.
That's
Had a
good.
good day. Yeah.
That is good. That is good. We have some great topics what we want to talk about, but we are going to talk about you first before we get into the venture of our show.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you for asking. I am Carlene Francis. I am a social worker, a preacher, and an author, and trauma-informed coach.
She's jack of everything. that is good.
Yes, sir.
So, how long? I mean, I would say, how long have you been wearing these? What, 4 or 5 hats?
Well, I started at a very humble beginning. Of course, I'm from Jamaica. I was born and raised in Kingston, and then I was sent to St. Catherine, where I grew up with my grandparents for my first early years. And then later on, my father came and took me away to Mandeville.
Okay. So, what's the length of time? I mean, you don't necessarily have to go in depth,
Yes.
but like kind of give us a surface where these hats start to fall in place.
Well, initially they started from I was a child. I didn't know, because what happened to me as a child started molding me, I guess, for this time. No, because of how I was raised. So I had no idea I wanted to be a preacher. In fact, if you told me about 10 years ago that I was going to be a preacher, I'd laugh at you. And if you told me I was going to be an author, I would laugh at you, because I only had a ninth grade education.
Mm-hmm.
So being a preacher, a social worker, and an author with a ninth grade degree education, it's not going to happen. It's only by the grace of God. So I suppose all that I've been through just helped to mold me into who I am today.
That is good. That is good. You have some great accomplishment, and as you continue thriving with those accomplishments, with the help of God as well, and so forth. For those of you who don't know, specifically, this show is a brand new kickoff about relationship. This one, though, this segment, we have our first segment up. It's animated, so you can go back and visit this. But this is the second episode, and we are talking about the structure is still about relationship, but with this episode specifically, we're gonna have a little blend, a little bit different, but it's still gonna have a link to the relationship structure. So without further ado, we're gonna jump right into it. We actually let's get this out of the way before I forget. So tell us a little bit about the book. You saying you're an author as well. So tell us a lot. What's the book name? And you can point it to the camera, show it to the camera.
Definitely.
And where to get it and where to buy it.
This is the first book. I've written 3 books.
Mhm.
and a devotional journal that will be coming out in next month. Well, we're actually in February already.
Mhm.
So that
This
one will
month,
be
pretty
coming
much.
out in February, yes. But this is the first book. It's called The Wounded Bird.
And what it's all about.
When the protector becomes the predator.
So is that geared towards a relationship?
No, that's geared towards how I was raised.
How you was
So
raised? Okay.
the protector
Should be a father or family
or a
member.
family member
Mm.
supposed to be protecting you. In other words, turn around to be the
The
predator.
predator. Mm.
Yes.
Interesting. So where you can get the book to buy?
You can they can reach out to me and they can get a signed copy from me, or they can go on Amazon
Do
and
you have a public email you'd like to share or
they can reach
number?
me at Carlene A Francis at Gmail.
So Carlene Francis at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
Carlene A
Carlene A
Francis
Francis
at
at gmail.com.
gmail.com.
One
Yes,
word, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
So folks, you know how to reach out to her and to get a copy of the this beautiful book.
yes.
And you know, you can see what she experienced. She share with you what she experienced as
The second one is The Wounded Bird Survives, and then the third one is The Wounded Bird Still Flies. And all three of those books are talking about my life from one stage of another.
so it's like a sequel thing. That's
Yes.
okay.
And the devotional journal is helping women and young girls
Mhm.
heal from childhood trauma.
Yeah, maybe I have I produce it, and you know, just like how you have these guys where these books, life, whether it's real time or fictionary, you know, most things what Hollywood does now, they create movies for it. So come and think about it. Maybe we'll do something for you.
Yeah, you should.
Produce a movie for this.
I think it's good. I think it could be a very good book. Very emotional,
Mm,
very heart-rending, and it takes the strong at heart. But I think it would be a good message.
that's good. All right, so we're gonna jump right into the core of our show for tonight.
Hmm.
We are talking about, well, again, it's based on relationship, but we are gonna trigger it off from a different angle. Then
Yes.
we tie all of it together. So we are talking about your youth trauma, what
Yes.
you experienced growing up, and what kind of create a segregation between you and society, and or between you and a relationship, in the sense
Hmm.
of maybe a business relationship or platonic
Intimate.
relationship or an intimate relationship,
Hmm.
how that affect you growing up.
Well, when I was 8 was when I was removed from my grandparents. I had a beautiful life. We had a river. I used to swim and climbing all kind of fruit trees. I was loved. I was protected. I was cared for. I was the child
Hmm.
that everybody looked out for. And so when my dad removed me from that home and brought me to Mandeville to live with my stepmother, who didn't look nothing like me. She was very high color. We used to call her white lady. And he left. He went back overseas.
Where
And
is from?
he was living in Guantanamo Bay at the time, working.
Mm.
So he would come home maybe twice a year or three times a year. And so he left me in that home. And that was when I experienced, for the first time, I experienced what hate looked like.
Mm.
I experienced what a child being outcast look like and feel like I did not belong in that home or belong around those people. I
Mhm.
wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I didn't speak like them. I look like them. So I didn't belong. And so for me, that really, it really gave me some insecurity in life. Um, Not only did I experience that in my childhood, I also experienced sexual trauma. And as that propelled into adulthood, I became very depressed and I lived reckless. I did a lot of stupid things that, if only by the grace of God, I'm still here. And I became very suicidal.
Oh, okay.
So, having gone experience about four different types of attempts, and all four attempts were failed. And
So God still wants you here, pretty much.
I guess he did.
Yeah.
And so all four of those attempts failed, and I was left to figure out now, how can I stop this shame that I've been carrying? Because, when you are molested by someone who's supposed to be protecting you, and then later on they accuse you of being the fault, that it was your fault, even though you were a child
Hmm.
sleeping in your bed, and a grown person come in and take advantage of you. And I carried this guilt and the shame into adulthood, and it caused a lot of chaos in relationships that I have. So my first husband, we got married when I was, what, 20 years old, after I had my daughter, and he was abusive.
Hmm.
And when you talk about relationship, I didn't even know anything about having a healthy relationship. I didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like, because coming from that environment, of trying to survive and trying to keep my sanity, and going into marriage, I wasn't prepared for. But we did the best that we could, because we thought that was what we needed
Right.
to do.
You thought that's the norm of a
Yes,
relationship because you never really have that type of a personal experience out there like that. You're a
absolutely.
child.
Yes. So, and he was coming from somewhat abusive home as well, where he saw his dad, he treated his mom.
Mhm.
And so for the first part in our marriage, this guy used to beat the heck out of me, until I decided, you know what, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to learn to defend myself. So I went to learn karate.
that just that reminds me of me too because I as you know my sons and probably hear this but I used to long love kung fu, not drifting away from the topic. We coming back, but
Yes.
just to make the link
Yeah.
where I went and got my black belt, but one of my primary reasons why I went and got my black belt was because of my kids. When I have my kids, and then especially they are boys, so I usually and I've seen a lot of experience where these young teenagers and how they started getting involved abusively with their parents and getting physical with their parents. So my thing is that I'm not gonna make no as a Jamaican culture. I'm not gonna make no boy come and beat me up in my house and stuff. So I went out
So you
and I
went to learn for your kids.
and get my black belt in kung fu just for my kids' purpose. But I'd loved the art in itself. But the primary thing for me to go and spend money was because of that. So sons, watch
You
it,
better watch out.
watch it. What the? and,
You're funny.
anyway, so it is I mean just the few um moment what you have shared so far. I mean, this is traumatizing.
Yes, it is.
I mean, and for you to carry this type of a burden, when we look out here today and see what's going on, especially younger females, mid-age, who experience these things, and some of them um, really have a struggle of releasing it, getting it out of their shoulders and
Hmm.
out their system, and because of that, it affects their adulthood in intimate relationship
Hmm.
or business relationship wise. It's more
Everything.
of a it covers all across the board,
Hmm.
but you really find it more effective when it comes to the negativity from that type of a trauma into an
Hmm.
intimate relationship. And it's sad because I realize that I've seen a lot of this going on lately, especially
Hmm.
from the female side. And the other, I would say, I don't want to use the word trend like it's a fashion thing because it's very serious.
Hmm.
Nonetheless, it's a thing where a lot of people are getting suicidal because of these factors what they experienced, and they don't know how to cope with it, they don't know how to express it, and they just can't be bothered of going out there and finding help. So
Yes.
they break down and they exploded after a while, after a certain time period, and because they don't know how to cope with it. So, what you would
Yes.
suggest? I mean, as you grew up and you having these experience, how do you start um, or where do you find the courage or the avenues to say, you know what, I cannot continue growing with this. I have to start kicking these negativity, these experience what I have to start controlling them and start making my life better for me.
Wow, it takes a lot to get to that point because I didn't know I was traumatized. I didn't know I had an issue. I only knew that I was very depressed, ashamed, and guilty
Mhm.
um, for something I didn't even do.
Right, right.
So it's when you talk about young girls, not too long came off the phone with a young lady who was sharing with me that her sister was molested by her dad, and
Mm.
the sister at the age of 17, because of what happened to her so early, she became so promiscuous, and at the age of 17 she had two children already. And oftentimes when we see a young woman in that kind of setting, we judge them and we call them names, not knowing the person's situation, what they've been through. So a lot of time women, we don't know how to voice what happened. And I'm sure there are a lot of women who have been molested at early age, and it has been kept quiet because one of the thing is you don't want nobody to know anything about this. Number one, the shame that comes with it, and the stigma, and even if people know about it in your family,
Mm.
they're going to tell you to be quiet, don't talk about it, because of the shame. You don't want to bring down the family, what have you, while the person that happened to, nobody's taking care of that person, nobody's helping that person to deal with it. All they care about is the shame that is going to bring down on the family.
You think that sometimes when people hold these information and eventually at some point in time they probably find the willpower, whatever, through man, to some a friend, through God's power, through whatever circumstances, they find the willpower to get it out. From your opinion and your experience, you think a female who go through these trauma growing up and they have these type of issues in relationship because of what they're experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
also being promiscuous,
Mm-hmm.
they have a promiscuous lifestyle, sexually it's like they don't care, they they have a void, they have a void they're trying to fill, but they're filling it because of their experience when
Mm-hmm.
they traumatized what they got when they were younger, and some of them think that's normal, that's how
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
relationship should build. I've
Right.
known females that if their boyfriend or husband don't beat them, they don't consider.
That's
um
coming from a
right.
trauma
So
too.
the thing is, at do you think that most of um these trauma that these female and male experience in a younger age, you think that it has a lot to do with them having a structural relationship?
It definitely does, because if a person have experienced trauma in
Mhm.
their childhood, and those trauma have not been dealt with, you haven't processed it, you haven't sat down with anyone to get help, that can take a toll on a person and show up in different ways. People get angry, people have outbursts, and people, they drink, they take drugs, they, there's
Mhm.
so many ways to try to suppress what is going on. Sometimes they're not even conscious of the fact that this is what is happening to me, why
Mhm.
I'm acting out like this. And so sometimes when you find a man hitting, beating his woman, is because of traumas that he himself has
Encountered it.
experienced, but then he has never gotten help. And so the only way he knows is to beat the person that he sees in front of him. And so the cycle continues. So just for a side note, if somebody out there has ever had any form of childhood trauma, please get some help. Talk to somebody. Oftentimes when I go in and I give presentation on trauma, people will say to me, "Oh, I'm not ready to talk about it. I'm not ready to do this." Why? Why are you taking it to your grave? It's
Mhm.
killing you. And we can have another session where we talk about how these things affect us later on in life. We have diabetes, we have heart failures, we have high blood pressure, all these illness that is inside of our bodies.
Right.
are triggered, are based coming from us having childhood traumas that have never been dealt with.
Dealt with, right?
So it not only affects us um, emotionally, it affects us
Physicality as well.
physically in our bodies. It affects us in our relationship with people, with our family, with our spouses, with our children, with our bosses. And sometimes I hear people in church carrying on and disrespect the pastor and what have you not. And I'm like, who hurt you?
Mm-hmm.
Who hurt you? Because the way they're behaving is like they're taking the pastor as their father. So an absentee father, or a father who was never there for them, now they're taking it out on the pastor. So it plays so out in so many areas in our life if it's not taken care of.
The thing what I've seen, and it's becoming like a rampage now, is
Mm.
um I think I've said it before. So we have a lot of young adults, mid age. I had an experience a few months back where one of my good friends, um his friend um had taken her own life.
Yeah.
And we understand that um for a while now, she was experiencing this problem. She's also Jamaican, and he's also Jamaican, but they were
Mm.
experiencing she was experiencing this problem for a while back. So we usually sit down, and because it caught him really off guard, and actually
Mm.
it's kind of it devastated him for a while. He isolated himself. He cry at nights, and just traumatized with the situation because it was so sudden. When you're looking at, she pretty much had everything. She in a good job, she live in a great apartment, she have good friends around her and stuff and stuff. People are supportive towards her. So it kind of, I know her personally as well. So it kind of I was kind of discombobulated with the fact that how she went and premeditate all of this stuff, to end her life. As what you said before, you made 4 attempts.
Michael,
So
I was in church. I was singing on the choir. I was welcoming people. I was laughing, smiling every day. I had a good job. I was a salesperson, car sales.
mhm,
I had my own apartment. I had my daughter with me. I remember she was 12 years old when I told her I wanted to kill myself.
12.
She was 12 years old. At the time, I didn't know that I was traumatizing my own child. I didn't know. I thought I was preparing her. That if she come home and found me dead, that she knew ahead of time that I was gonna do it. And that's how much this thing was damaging and so dark. The hole that you're in, that you function on the outside, but on the inside you're dying.
But at what age were you started experiencing those type of thoughts? I mean, yeah,
The
what age you think you were
the
experiencing
first suicidal attempt was in my 20s.
was in your 20s?
And this is how it came about. I had a business and the business failed.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back in Jamaica. And my marriage was having issues. And he had moved out, which was fine because I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then when my business failed, I had a driving school and both cars had an accident, one after the other. And
So your
it
business pretty
it
much.
plummeted my business into the hole. And I now had to be paying all my bills and everything. And it put me in a dark space. And one night, just sitting there looking at all these bills and no money coming in and having no choice as to what I was going to do, all I can hear is like, you're never going to amount to anything, which was told to me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, those voices started coming back to me. Now, and this is what the devil does. He plays on our vulnerability. Because I was in a vulnerable state at that moment by myself. I locked myself away. I wouldn't come out of my room all day long, out of my bed. And that's a sign of depression. And so that night when I decided I was going to take my life, and I dumped all of the pills that I could find on the table with the bottle of water, and I was sitting there writing my suicidal note.
Mm.
And the Lord intervened.
So I know you're using God a few times in our conversation. So I'm detecting that you are a spiritual person,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So at what point in time your spirituality started developing? Or did you
Oh,
born in a Christian home, or
uh,
did you something you just develop?
no. Actually, I started going to the Adventist church when I was 10 years old. I had the measles, and they came one day to visit me while I was
Mhm.
sick. And these people prayed for me and sing for me. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing that somebody could have done for
Mhm.
me. And so when I got better, I decided to go to the church, and I've been in the Adventist church since then. I left it later on in my teens into my 20s,
Mhm.
and then I went back in my
So
30s.
none of your family member, father, mother, weren't a part of that. Um,
My stepmother was, not my father.
and she's the one who invited you,
No, I went
or you
went
just on your
yeah.
own? Okay.
After the visitation, I decided I wanted to go, so we started going as a result of the
But
visitation
why pick Seventh Adventists?
because they were the one that came and visit me.
Oh, okay, okay. So I see the link now. Okay.
Yes, they came and visited me, and then we went, and I was every Sabbath we went to church. We were taught about the Sabbath. We loved it. It was part of our life, and that's how I grew up. And later on, in my late 20s, late teens to 20, I didn't want anything to do with God. I just didn't care much
Mm.
about Him. I didn't have a relationship with Him. But then I fell in love with him again when in my 30s. And for my 30th birthday, I went and gave my life to the Lord. And I haven't looked back since.
That's usually the typical the case. As young teenagers, young adults, I remember when I grew up in the church, grew up in a Christian home, and grew up specifically in a Seventh Day Adventist home. And I remember that I got baptized at a really young age. I think it's about maybe 12, 13, 10, somewhere around that ballpark.
Hmm.
But I vividly remember that I gave my life because it was a movement upon me. Like I can feel the spirit. I was like, listen, son, um, I want you in my army.
Hmm.
And at one point, I remember this pastor. His name is, they call him Pastor Oliphant. He used a word known pastor where he goes all over the world and preach. And
Hmm.
they had a crusade at
Hmm.
the time when I went into Jamaica, and they had a crusade, and my parents went to that crusade, and we were going back and forth and stuff like that. And then just one day I went, and because as teenagers, young teenagers or whatever case may be, once we reach a church, we gone.
Hmm.
We out there running around doing the pastor in there preaching, mommy sit down, dad sit down, and we out there doing our thing. We could give a rat's butt what's
What's
going
going on
on.
here?
We outside, we doing our thing.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know, that particular day I just decided to stay in the church and just
Hmm.
listen. And that moment is just like the spirit just move upon me. And from that time, I decided to give my life to Christ. And as I grew up, I got wiser, because there are certain tradition things they pushed on you, and you not only necessarily push on it, but you experience. And some of those things that I look on them, it's far fetched from what God is looking for. It's
Hmm.
just traditional in culture.
Hmm.
And I developed that on my own by, having a personal relationship with
Yeah.
him. And
Yes.
I realized that some of these things, what these family members, mother and daddy push, is just a man-made
It's a tradition and
traditional
not
thing.
biblical
It's not
base.
biblical
Yeah.
based. So, but kudos for those who out there has a good relationship with God. I would say this: without Him, without God in your life, whether you acknowledge that there is a higher power, a higher being, or whatever, without God in your life, most of probably, if I safe to, I actually not safe. I'm bold enough to say that it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
Now, don't look in it this way, because some people may like, well, I'm in this thing for 30 years, I'm doing my own thing, and
Hmm.
I successfully, and yeah,
Yep.
that is great. Failure doesn't necessarily come immediate.
Hmm.
Just like certain things, cancer doesn't sometimes come overnight, or any other disease or any other circumstances. This doesn't happen overnight. takes time. Look on people who smoking for 60 years, and then at the 80th year they have cancer,
Hmm.
or not only cancer but other illness,
But not
bad
only,
liver or whatever the case
but
may be.
not
But
only that, in terms of knowing God, if they're saying that they're doing good without God, can you imagine if you had God, how much better you'd be doing?
that's the key point.
Yeah.
If you're doing good and doing great, but remember, God also saying that He reign on the just and the unjust.
Yes,
So
definitely.
those who are out there that doesn't believe in God is still around them, and
Yes,
those who know about Him, God is still there with them.
yes.
So let me ask you this question now.
Mm.
You think your spiritual growth, your spiritual lifestyle, help you to overcome if you still not if you still didn't overcome this
Oh,
situation in your life? You
oh,
think the spiritual
absolutely, absolutely. And we can fast forward to that time or that era in my life when I questioned God. I went to church the Sabbath. I heard the pastor preaching about how God make things work. He does things for his glory. And I was mad at the pastor. Like, who dare you talk about,
what about me?
yeah, you talk about God, this all powerful God, this almighty God that sees everything and allow a child to endure such
Experience that things
such
that
pain. I said, how could you stand there and tell me that foolishness? And he said to me, that God has a plan for me. He doesn't know why I had to endure what I endure, but God had a plan for me. I wasn't convinced. I went home that day and I had a serious heart to heart talk with God. And I
mm,
said, I'm not going to serve you anymore because I don't believe you. Because I don't understand how an all seeing God, an almighty God that has the world in his hand, would allow a child to
an
experience
innocent child to
such
go through
pain.
this
Yeah.
drama, right?
And I told him I wouldn't have anything else to do with him until he could prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt that he existed and that he loved me. And I said, that's it, I'm done with you. And I was indeed done with him until one day I was on my way to work. I was working in Brooklyn, heading to work on Kings Highway. So I was traveling on Utica. And just as I got to the intersection of Clarendon and Utica Avenue, a car came out of nowhere heading straight in my direction. I swerved from the car and I don't know what happened. I lost control of my car and all I could see was death because the traffic was coming and two cars were coming and I saw how I was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
The first car was going to hit me in the second one and that was just going to be the total point of it. And during that time, what was happening, I kept hearing the Holy Spirit telling me to pray, and I said, "No, I'm not. It's too late." And three times he told me to pray, and I remember saying, "Jeez." That's all I remember.
Just G's.
Jeez. And when I woke up in the hospital, there was a lot of confusion going on. So everybody was up and down. It was noisy, and I was coming to consciousness, and as I was hearing the doctor screaming at somebody that they need to find something
Mm-hmm.
that was wrong with me because nobody endure a head-on collision and walk away scotch-free. And so all the tests that they ran came back with nothing. Nothing was wrong with me. The only problem I had was the seatbelt had a big nasty black and blue,
Because of the pressure,
yeah,
yeah.
and they had a neck brace on my neck and they had a back brace and I was in pain, but there was nothing internally wrong with me. I was After all that commotion, I heard the voice of the Lord and he said to me, "Is this proof enough?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because by then I had forgotten what I said.
Mm-hmm.
How I wasn't going to talk to him. I wasn't going back to church. I wasn't going to have any relationship with him. And he said to me, "Is this proof enough?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And that was when he played back the accident. And I'm watching this thing in slow motion. And as I'm looking at the impact that's going to take place, I saw a hand reaching down in my car and picking me up.
Mm.
And I sat in the palm of his hand, and that was when the impact happened. And he was showing me how much he loved me, that he saved me from that accident for a purpose. And that was when my relationship with God became
Changes.
real.
That is very I would say what the word I'm looking for. But in essence, is that is very powerful because I've heard stories how God delivered them from different situation and stuff like that. But for him to sit back and challenge you in a sense of doing what he needs to do to reach out to you to and then the fact that he plays up because you didn't see what's going on,
No,
all of that suddenness going on, all these things, he's like, oh, my life is
I'm gonna
flashing,
die. Yeah.
and whatever little bumps and nicks there you got, you think you hit and so forth, and then just overall when you look back on the picture, you saw that God was involved. You saw
Yes.
this mysterious hand take you out of the car got smashed up, and
Hmm.
then you were put back there after all of that stuff and take to the hospital and so forth. So it just, I've heard stories and I heard great miracle stories and stuff like that, but this one is very unique, in sense of it's like you're watching back a tape.
Hmm.
You go back and you watch, like I have this thing in my car and I started putting up because of an accident I had, and then the insurance company is trying to blame the situation. So now it kind of pushed me now to buy this um, dashboard recorder.
Right.
So like if anything happened now, I can go back and play it. So it's kind
Hmm.
of the same scenario now
Yes.
where God playing this back in your mind to show you that, listen, you had challenged me in the past
Yes.
about this and how you're gonna abandon me and stuff like that. But
Yes.
I'm showing you that I still care for you and
Yes.
stuff like that, which is
Because my thing was that he didn't love me and he didn't exist.
mm,
So he was proving to
like,
me that I love you and that I do
exactly,
exist. Yes.
exactly. So um when I've seen a lot of females are having problems, and males are having problems in their relationship, whether it's marriage or platonic, or mostly specifically intimate relationship.
Mhm.
I would ask this question: do you think that some of these type of a situation, what most of, especially most females that experience, I've talked with females from a family level, from a friendship level,
Mhm.
and I've heard of some of them have gone through these type of trauma where they were molested when they were younger, they were raped when they were younger, and as they grew up, it seems like it create a psychological scar where they reacted, they act out funny, and there are men also that also were
Molested.
molested or sexually
Mhm.
molested.
Mhm.
So it's morely from the female side that it happens to, but occasionally there are situation, maybe I need to do a statistic report on it to see how much of our
I
men are
Yeah, I
getting
believe
involved
it's statistics shows 1 in every 5 men and 2 or 3 in every
in a
every
woman.
5 women.
So with that, you think when we look on today's society and we see failures in relationship right across the board, we see how females or we see how male, how they're living their life, some promiscuous, some they just tolerate certain things in a relationship. Do you think that these youth or these childhood traumas affect these type of their relationship where they're more of an their intimate relation? Do you think it affects them?
Some people, yes, definitely, 100%.
Mm,
Childhood trauma does play a role in how good a relationship is with your spouse. If you do not take care of that trauma, it plays itself out in one way or another. It plays itself out where you have anger that you can't even control
mm,
yourself. Sometimes I wonder, why would somebody just take up something and hit somebody so hard that you kill the person? What happened to self control? Trauma does that. Childhood trauma does that.
mm,
Childhood trauma will cause someone to, even if it's a good thing,
mm,
going back to school and getting education, childhood trauma can help them be an overachiever. A person that is a people pleaser. You're always trying to please people, no matter what. It's killing you, but you're trying to please the other person. Trauma deals with somebody always apologizing,
mm,
even when they're not wrong. They're apologizing. Somebody who's always busy, never sit down. From the moment they get up out the bed, to the time they go back to bed. They never sit down because the moment they sit down, then they're going to start remembering. So trauma plays itself out in so many ways in our life if it's not dealt with.
You think your situation, what you experience when it comes to your marriage and just relationship overall, you think it affects you in the situation where you at right now, where you decide to separate yourself from a partner?
Um, Maybe in a good sense because I have grown so much. While I was doing my master's degree, I wrote a paper. My I was in seminary, wrote a paper about my life, and the professor
Hmm.
read my paper and he was crying. And he said to me, "I'm sending you to therapy." And so for the 3 years I was in grad school, I was in therapy. Lots of therapy. I mean, we're talking about buckets of tears for me to get to this point, to be able to talk about what happened to me without falling to pieces. So it takes a lot. And this is what people don't want to deal with. They don't want to bring up all these memories. They just want to live their life. They just want to forget it and go on. So I think I have grown and I think I have healed so much more, and my eyes is open so much more. I'm able to love and receive love. Before, I didn't know what love is. You know, my first husband told me one day that he loved me and I said, "Why?"
You
Because
ask him the
yeah,
question
I'm
why
like, "Why?" I
why he
really
loved you.
yeah, I couldn't understand why he loved me
But why
because
you would
I
ask
didn't
him, why, but
know.
why you would ask him that question why he loves you?
Yes, why do you love me? Because I didn't see myself as lovable.
Because of what you experienced.
Yes, that was before I got help. I
Mm.
didn't see myself as lovable. So, it's a journey. Healing is a journey. It's not something that you wake up tomorrow and you're healed. It's a journey. You have to go through the process and it's very painful.
Well, a psychological scar is that, so I heard you said something about, you have to deal with it and so you can forget it. You cannot forget these things
You
because
never forget it.
it's a psychological scar.
Yeah, you never
And it's
forget.
not like a cut where when you get a cut somewhere down the line. Some it depends on certain people's skin because a just a
Keloid.
keloid skins, right? Your skin doesn't heal properly. So when it's healed, you would always
Uh,
have this
Big scar on there,
this
yeah.
that type of scar. Then you have some people that heals really well.
Mhm.
So for some people that heals really well, like when those scars are healed, if your memory is not strong enough, when you look on back and you see no spots,
You can't remember
you don't remember
right,
what
what
happened.
happened, yes.
See, the psychological scar now is
Mhm.
that no matter where you put it in your mind, it will always be there until
Always.
you die. So it's going to be challenging for those who out there who's trying to forget about these things. You
You're
cannot.
never gonna
And
forget.
this is why, as what Carlene said earlier and before, you have to deal with it. You have to discuss it. You have to, at your own leisure, but not
Yes.
too late, not for eternity. You have to deal with it. Tell us some more about as you grew up in your relationship, as you grew up and you started understanding, from a teenager level, growing up at 19, 20, getting involved in an intimate relationship based on your based on your psychological scar and the situation you go, how it really affect you with your partner from a romantic level, from a communication level.
You want me to tell you all my secrets?
No, 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 no. You don't have to go there. But from the surface level, how does it affect you? Because we know that in a relationship, when it comes to a man and a woman, the partnership requires certain contact, certain intimacy, and stuff like that. Does that level of intimacy within your trauma, your childhood traumatized, does it affect you towards your partner?
Thinking about it now, yes, it did. I couldn't be satisfied. I was married, but I had about 4 or 5 boyfriends.
Mm. Mercy. Woo! See, they're players too, They're players too.
No, but that's coming from a a
Traumatized,
traumatized person.
because you think this is normal.
Well,
But
I know it wasn't normal, but there was something in me that needed to be
there's a
quenched.
void you're
And
trying to
yes,
fill.
and I'm trying to fill that. I did not know. I was in grad school for 3 years. I never had a boyfriend. And before I went to school, I was, and I think that's one of my hesitation into going into ministry and doing this, because I'm like, how am I gonna stay abstinent? How am I gonna not have sex? And I'm saying, Lord, you're crazy. I can't do this. I cannot do this. And I see myself in grad school. I went to 3 years of grad school, never had a boyfriend,
but
never had a
but you
man.
were intimate.
No,
Oh, you wasn't.
no.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have a problem with that. And I have been single now. My second husband, we got married in 2008, 2010 I left. And well, he has recently died, but
Mm.
I have been single
My
now for the
condolences.
past since 2014. And in there has been stretches of years before I even touch a man.
Mm.
And I never thought I could do that.
So
And even so more now, because I'm just walking away from an 8 months relationship. And before I entered into that relationship, I told him I didn't want to be sexually involved. And he respected that. And he never pressured me to do it.
so you were planning to have this relationship with this man, but have no type of a sexual
Yeah, I told him I wanted to wait until marriage.
Oh, okay. So with that, did
He didn't have a problem
he
with
didn't
that.
have a problem? So the other question then, if that wasn't the case, because I think from a man perspective, hopefully I can speak for some of us, if not all. That is crucial within a relationship.
I know that is important.
So
But it takes a mature person to sit down and have a conversation about it. And that's one of the first thing I talk about. Somebody meets me, they like me, they want to start dating, and I don't want to date. And I said to him when I met him, I don't want to date. I want to find a man that is Christ-like, that would love me, and I want to get married. I want to everything that you want to do in date, I want to do that in marriage.
but so this raises this question now. Dating is a process to find out where these red flags are, if they are.
Yes,
So
you can trust me. I sense the red flag. God has given me this discernment. I can sense them.
well, not everyone has the gift of you. So
Yeah.
so how do someone out there that doesn't have this discernment, this type of a gift, to look at someone and say, you know what, I don't have to date this guy. Let's get married and get it over with.
You
I mean,
can't. It's you can't. You can't. I've been single for all this time, and I thought I was okay by myself.
mm,
I am comfortable. I enjoy myself. I watch movies by myself, laugh by myself. I take myself out for dinner, treat myself. I take care of myself. And when I met this person, I said, these are my criterias. I am a child of God. I love the Lord with all my heart.
mm,
And I don't want to jeopardize my relationship, my prayer life, if I'm going to be sexual with you.
mm.
I said, if you're able to withhold yourself, and I will try to do my best not to make it hard for you to maintain yourself, but I rather we don't have sex.
So
And I enjoy sex, okay? I do. But my growth with the Lord right now has shown me that I don't need to have sex with someone to be valid or love in a relationship.
So if that's the case, then why you didn't just get married then? Because you're already you're not in the process of dating. You can see.
There were things that I saw that I did not like, and I spoke about it several times, and I don't see any change, and so I decided to let it go.
Okay. So if you then see these things, you pretty much would have gotten involved when it
Yes.
comes to a marriage.
Because I was committed to marriage.
Mhm.
Yes.
But you don't think dating is a crucial part of getting to understand? I mean, again, you have the special gift, so it's in general, in general, where a young lady or a guy or want to get involved with someone. And I think the process, even I mean, coming back a little spiritually, even from the Bible talks about, dating and courting. Um,
You sure?
yeah, it's not T for T, meaning like
Okay.
it's not word for word, but
Okay. Okay.
there are different segments where it talks about, and it kind of highlighted that, you know, to know the person, get to understand the person. And I think that's logical because I see you on the street, and the first thing from men, we get attracted physically, right? So the physical side is out the window, right? So I'm getting attracted. So at the end of the day, you could be a mass murderer. You could have all type of a disgusting
Really, Michael?
behaviors, but I'm saying that this is practical. This is
Okay. Okay.
actuality. That's what's happening out
And
there.
okay, so I had known this person for a year and a half before we actually started dating.
So okay, so I can see now where you don't need to date him in that context. However, they have a saying in our culture: see me
I can
and
live
live with me is
at
two
two
different
different
things.
things.
So you
Yes.
may know him for 5,000 years,
But coming and living with the person.
but
is
living with a
mm.
person is two different things.
Okay, so let me tell you. Having been married twice, um, enjoy marriage, enjoy being with someone. I know what I'm looking for. So my first conversation with you, questions that I'm going to ask you is going to tell me whether or not I'm going to have a second conversation.
Second
Period.
conversation
Yes.
in
So somebody meets me on the road or wherever, at church or
okay.
whatever,
Mhm.
calls me up, hey, I like you and I want to talk to you. Okay, let's talk. We go through some questions. And based on your answer or not answer,
You would-
it will determine if we're going to have a second conversation.
so pretty much we determine if I'm gonna block you.
Exactly. And I have done that. In the first 2 minutes of the conversation,
Mhm.
I find something else to do. Hey, I gotta go. We'll talk. And I never call
So
back.
you wouldn't put him in the friend zone.
No, I just block, delete.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't have time to waste. So in the first conversation, you're telling me, oh, I like you and I want to get to know you. Oh, absolutely. I start to ask some questions. And I'm not drilling you. I'm just having a conversation. And based on how you answer these questions in our first interaction will determine a second conversation.
So
And if we pass the second
so
conversation,
this is a test.
everything is a test. Every single thing is
So
a test.
you would not go on a date to have those type of
Of course, I will go on a date too.
So okay, so if the guy meets you today, and you like, you
And which I don't meet guys anyway, but anyway, go on.
guy
'Cause I
meet
don't know
you,
where they are.
right? But you go about your business. You're going to
Yes.
work. You're driving to work. Maybe you even get stuck outside. That's how these snows are. The snow is outside, and you're there with your little thing, and some guys
What is it?
look nice,
He's
but
gonna
you know
see
what?
me in all that coat. He's gonna
Trust
see
me, us guys, it doesn't matter. And then one of the things I understand with some females, so they try to wear baggy clothes sometimes because of the attention what they always get, especially some females who look good, have good shape, curves, pretty, and all that stuff. Some of them they traumatize with these things. Traumatized meaning that they tired of these compliments every day they go out because they know what.
Bring on the compliments.
But the thing now is that with all of that, so sometimes I hear females says that they were like, okay, you know what? So when they're going outside on the street, maybe they're just going down the block or whatever case may be. They don't want to put on anything that, that when they go outside, they hear, hey baby, oh you looking nice, you looking nice, and all the things. They want to avoid
Where are
that.
those guys? I
But
have never seen.
the
I
thing
never
is,
get that.
they say they put on all these type of clothes and stuff like that, but yet we still see through all of that.
Okay. Okay.
We
I
still see
see.
through all of that. I mean, again, we are physical being. For us men, we are physical attracted. You guys are more and more of a emotional thing. You intellectual thing for you.
Mhm.
I mean, there are men
Conversation.
not to undermine our men, but I'm a practical person. Most of us, we our intellectual is when can I get to know you very close. That's our intellectual level of that. Meanwhile, the female will be thinking, let's talk. Let me see how you value life. Let me see how how you would deal with a family. Let me see how you deal with a situation. Let me see how you're gonna spend time with me. Let's see how we're gonna communicate when we have a problem. How do we communicate? How do we solve our issues and stuff like that? That is from you guys out. So our self is just yes, no. But overall, I think that's one of the things what we are in today's society, what we are facing, especially what they call it, the millennials or the Gen
Gen
Z
Z's.
or Gen B, C, F, V, whatever you call. I don't know. I don't follow these letter things and these type of just like all those these horoscope thing. I don't subscribe to that. I mean, yeah, I don't. But it is what it is. If you are like this, if you're that horoscope is not gonna tell you who a person is. I
No,
strongly
I don't
believe that.
believe in
Yeah,
horoscope.
I strongly believe in that. But
I
you know,
believe in the word of God, and that's what I use.
and coming from not that aspect, coming from just not a word of God, for people out there that don't even have no belief in God, I mean, you're telling me based on something man put together, a name of something then going to describe my character, it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, you are Gemini. Oh, so Gemini behave this way. No,
Yeah.
I had a discussion with my one of my best friend, and I mean, he also was raised up in the church, and I noticed that he's saying that somewhere down the line, when you look on this force of life, force energy, that these things what they talk about how Gemini used to be or Taurus or whatever, you know, these traits are really for real. And sometimes I look on it and based on what people say, our society say, and then look on this person who they call whatever their scope is, they have some type of a trait in it, but is it really coming from that? But
Yeah.
anyway,
I don't believe it.
well, you know, we hear from you personally how you know you've been through a lot. You have been through a lot. And, you know, I'm glad that you know you were able to reach to a point where you can even discuss it. For those who are watching, I trust and pray that you know this will help us you. This is a lot and it's serious. And I think this is one of the things that affected most of the relationships, whether it's teenager relationship, and adult relationship, senior relationship, and stuff like that. Because of these things that we experienced in our past, sometimes create problems. But within that, piggybacking off my own statement, do you think every situation that happens in a relationship, negative on the negative side of it, do you think that is because of the situation what the negativity that was child experience, rape?
I wouldn't say that because we pick up bad habits and
No,
yeah, we do, we do, and experiences too from different relationships. So we're bringing in the other person that we used to be with used to do this or whatever, and so we take that into the relationship. No, because and if you say something, it's triggering and makes me yeah. So we pick things up. Not everything that is going to come from childhood. There are things that we ourselves pick up along the way that interfere with our relationship. But
environment, friends,
yes,
people who
exactly.
around
So
you that
communication, and oftentimes you hear people say communication. Yes, me communicate. No, you don't communicate. Let's sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk, and we can have another show on that. To
this is I
because
mean this is gonna be broad because
every time people say, "Oh, communication," and most men will say, "Yes, I communicate." Really, no.
yes, we do communicate differently when it comes to men. Yeah, I mean, they have this book called Man
Men
from
from
Mars
Mars and
and
women
Woman from
from Venus.
Venus,
Yes.
and in the that context, are we communicate? Yes, that's how we are. Men from Mars and men from Venus. Not meaning it's literally, but it's just how we communicate. I mean, we are so far apart from each
Yeah.
other at the end when it comes to communication, and a lot of people um, my age, mid age, younger, we don't know what really communication is. Just like
Yeah.
the word love, we tend to use. There was a friend of mine, her daughter got involved with someone, um, recently, and um, she's that age, though. She's like 21 and stuff like that. And knowing the mom, she like she's very kind of protective. She is our only daughter, an only child, so she's kind of protective, and she's gonna have that type of reserve feeling, that type of secure feeling. Nonetheless, she got involved with something. They got involved like September. By October, they're planning to get married. She also plans to move out of a mom house within the next 2 months or so to go and live with this guy, to go get married and live with this guy and stuff like that. So when you look at those situations, and when how did you take time? I mean, what is what you think that is your perspective on that? Do you think you take enough time? Because this is less than 2 months.
But that we were married July 24th.
I mean, if you're financially stable, so but because you have to look on all these rims.
Financial statement. When two people
Stable mean.
When two people meet and there's no game, it's just honesty. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm looking for. And you're sharing openly. Why not go to the judge and get married? What's wrong with that?
I don't see any.
What's wrong with that?
I mean, it can be touchy because personally for me, tell you this. Let me say this, and maybe this would help. I don't need 2 years, 2 months or whatever to know if someone, if to deal with to know if this person is the one I'm gonna marry or not.
Yeah.
I don't need all of that.
But people lie. But if you're gonna be
Yes.
honest with one another, sit down. I'm grown. I'm not gonna tell you my age, but I'm grown. I know what I'm looking for.
Right.
And I know what I can tolerate and what I will not tolerate.
Correct. And not to drift. I was sharing the story to tie it into this level based on the statement what I made earlier, that we don't know how to communicate.
Yes.
And then the word I was getting at, we don't know what love is, because
Yes.
at that point in time she was saying, and I was talking to her about it too, because the mom asked me to talk to her about it and to kind of fill out what's going on, because she feels not insulted, she felt in a somewhat disrespectful way, right? Because she wasn't really told. It was like kind of a sudden.
Okay.
So she felt kind of disrespectful, and he's like, I'm your parents, I should say.
Yes.
But
okay.
when I started talking to her and I share with her and what is what, and then she's like, oh, I love him. I looked at her and I said, that's not love, that's
you
lust.
can't tell her that either.
No, we don't listen. Love develops. Love takes time.
Yes.
It's not because I see you and I spend 2 weeks with you and stuff like that, and
I
have
can
couple
choose to love you.
and have a couple of sex. So
Would you believe me if I say I hate someone? I can say
yeah,
I hate someone without even having interaction with the person.
yeah,
but you're saying I can't love someone with
okay.
interaction
So
with them?
from a spiritual side, we know that there's 3 type of loves, right?
Okay.
3 type of love. We have philios.
Mm-hmm.
We have what's the other one?
The agape.
No, the agapes belong. We don't possess that type of a love.
Okay.
So agape, for those who know about in kind of the spiritual realm, would understand what agape is. Unconditional. I love you. I'll do things for you regardless of what you are, who you are.
Yes, you
whatever
make
the case
choice
may be.
to love that person. Love is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a choice. I can love you if I want to love you.
Right, but again, in the perspective or in context, we are talking about the intimacy now. I think that's the philios, right? So the intimacy love, right? We are intimate sexually.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other love we are talking about. That now, based on this young lady, what she said, that is not love. That's lust. Love doesn't operate in the love takes time. Love you because I see
Really?
yes. Love takes time. Love is not because I met you today, I shack with you tomorrow, and then oh, that's love. You because you
You
feel
ever heard the story of Isaac and Rebecca? The servant went and
mhm.
brought Rebecca to Isaac. And when Rebecca come in to meet Isaac, she fell in love with Isaac.
She fell lusted with Isaac.
Oh, stupid. The Bible says she fell.
Well, remember when
There was no her, both of them
it's not.
love.
But as I said before,
Only that corrupt.
but remember as I said before, three types of love. We also ordained from God's hand, right? Those three. See, most of society don't know about that. They only know
Come
about
back
one.
next week and
Yeah,
talk
we
about
definitely will
it.
come back about this six. But most of society don't know about those areas of love. Some of us who are in the spiritual world, some of us who are probably going in the spiritual world, exit the spiritual world, but on a whole, we look on love on a general aspect because I may like how you look, you may feel because I'm not intimate with you, you make me feel away. Now all of a sudden that makes me love. And again, they use the term in a wrong way. More of lust feeling because you feel good at that moment. She may say something to you, she may touch you a certain way. He may touch you a certain way. And because of that, we use the word. That's what I said. A lot of us at times use the word when we don't understand the full meaning of it. Well, in the context of a sexual intimate level. That is true. Well, remember, I'm coming from the intimate side of it. So from
Okay.
I'm not talking about the general, which I can see a stranger and I can see a stranger outside and I can love that
You
person.
ever met someone for the first time in your life
Mm.
and you have such a connection
Doesn't
that
mean
you
it's
feel
love,
like you known this person for years
but that's not love
and
still.
you're able to open up and share so much with this person that you've met that the person that you've known for years you're not able to do that
But
with.
that's still not love.
Why is it not love?
It's not love. It's more of a unity connection.
Oh my.
If
Oh
I'm just
my.
making up stuff right now, when it comes to words, because I'm trying to find the right word to articulate that
It
answer.
can be love.
But it's that connection you have. As I said before, love takes time. If we don't want to drift off too much, because if you go back in the Bible and we started reading from Genesis, and when God take time to create this world, He took time to
Took
create
7
man.
days.
Right.
Or
It takes
6
time.
days.
It takes time.
It took 6
you know,
days.
God has the power to say, "Let it be," and it's done right there.
Yeah,
A
and
minute.
He did.
So why He take time, especially when He was creating man?
Yeah.
He took
We
time
were the only one that He stooped down and used His hand and
and
created.
okay, so
Yes.
that's to identify the same statement I'm making. Love takes time to
Okay.
develop. But anyway, folks,
Anyway, I believe
at the end of the day, listen, this topic if we don't mind sharp, this going on for hours, because this is this topic is so broad and it has so much to it. It's never ending. But we will come back. There's many more series. We're gonna have different guests and to talk about different things in our relationship.
They can submit their questions too,
And
right?
you can submit your questions.
Okay.
Our email address is thegaragestu@gmail.com. So thegaragestu@gmail.com and
STU?
STU
Okay.
at gmail.com. If you can go to our YouTube channel, is the Garage Studios. So if you go to youtube.com/ and put the @ symbol and type in the Garage Studios, plurals, the Garage Studios, and our channel will come up. It looks, if you can see the color here, it looks like just like on the microphone. That's our color theme. So
Okay.
if you go to the page and you look up and because there's many garages is gonna come up, this is our logo, so you will know that is us. But you can send us questions and narrow down the question and say this is for the relationship show, because we have many shows on the garage. We have our politics show, and we have our general shows what we have. But this one is specifically a
And let us
relationship show.
keep it clean, please.
That's that.
Keep the questions clean.
Listen, you can send whatever we're just gonna answer them in a clean manner pertaining to who are asking the question and pertaining to the hosts we have on the show. So send your questions out there if you have, and if you want to share your thoughts too. If you want to share your thoughts, if you have, based on what we talk about, and you have a comment based on psychological scar, based on the traumatizing situation what some people go through, also what led them up to want to kill themselves, because I'm seeing that becoming I don't want to use, I'm using this word, but I'm not using it as a style. It's very serious, but it's like a trend now going around where people, this is their own solution, what
Depression,
they can find.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard on them, they can't see any way out, and it's becoming like a norm to people. As I said, I have a friend who experienced this recently, and I've never experienced something like that before on a close level. I had someone when I was back in my family church. It was here in the Bronx, where a young couple and the guy killed himself because of the female. I don't want to get involved into that, but it happens. That was the first, but I wasn't really close to them. This one, I was like this. I'm really close to them. I mean, because I know both sides personally. So it becoming, and then hearing Colleen sharing her views, because I looked at her, I never knew about this until now, based on she's experiencing it. So people are hurting out there, and
Yes.
we have more to discuss about these things because it becoming a problem, and we have to get these things out, and we have to seek help.
And if you're one of those persons that are thinking about taking your life, please reach out. We can help you. We can talk with you and just coach you through it. It's never that bad for you to take your life. I know the situation may be bad, but trust me, it will get better.
Yeah, we talk about that. It's like I could not see myself. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to kind of, because some people experience things differently.
Yeah.
But I looking at where I know I've seen people, they're blind. They have two legs. They don't have two. Their legs are missing. Their hands are missing. Some of them have one lounge dealing with and stuff like that. Almost the next 2 5 months gonna die, and they still that doesn't come across their mind still.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just how people receive certain things and how they address certain things to get out of their situation psychologically, physically, what they need to do to get out. Some people handle life in itself differently, but we trust and pray that if you are going through this, if you experienced this before, especially trying to hurt yourself, please seek help.
Yes.
It's very important that you get help. The government offers certain programs where you can go and get help. If you're working in a job, I think they provide these type. And lately, I think because of some rules, they provide these insurance help you to get assistance because it's becoming a problem to society.
Yes.
So please do get help. Colleen, I am grateful and I'm honored to have you on our show as a guest, because she keep on beating me. I'm no guest. I'm your friend. Now,
Yes, I'm your friend.
so I'm delighted that she could stop by the garage and with in our beautiful home and share with us what she had experienced and how she can use that experience to help those of you out there who even
That's
myself too. I may not experience it in that way, but is somewhere down the line this story can help me to help me grow, whether it's in my relationship or in any in my relationship with someone out there, my significance, my wife, whoever. If you may have individuals out there where you have your girlfriend, and it doesn't just narrow down to your significance. It could be your son, it could be your auntie, it could be your nephew, but specifically, yes, we this topic now we are talking about intimacy, the intimacy relationship, not the brain freeze for a second, but not the platonic relationship.
yes,
We are more on the intimate side, relationship to bond with each other, partnership and stuff like that. But there's many more to come. I mean,
yes,
it's not gonna be the first time. She's gonna be
yes,
here. More of her to come, and other guests we're gonna invite. We are trying to invite people who also have experience and have degrees, maybe have degrees in these areas where they can offer some suggestions, offer some things what may help. Not because you have a degree you know it all, but they
mhm,
can share some things what they may learn in class or school or books, that possibly may help you overcome some of your psychological drama what you're experiencing. So I would ask you to share with your final thought what you would like to encourage society, or what, based on what you're going through, you had been through and somewhat overcome.
yes.
What is your next movement? What you do moving forward to enhance your
Um,
growth?
I, that's a lot of that's a mouthful. You. I just wanted to say that you're not alone. We all go through things, and some of us hurt more than others. Some is more devastating. And for the people who said, "Oh, I don't have any problem, no issue," I'm asking you to be kind to those who you think might be suffering, because people are going through a lot. And I was watching a video the other day with a man. He was driving and swerving all over the road, and people are yanking him and cussing at him and to get out of the road. And I do that too. And
You're guilty.
that man was just told by his doctor that he had stage 4 cancer, and
Mm.
that he only had a short time to live. So he was just in his head just thinking and trying to figure out how he's going to manage with life. So let's be kind to each other, because we never know what
Yeah,
other people are going through.
yeah,
Okay?
definitely.
And please pick up a copy of my book. It's called The Wounded Bird, and the second one is The Wounded Bird Survive. The third one is coming out at the end of the month, as well as the devotional that will help women and young girls to heal from childhood
And
trauma.
where can you get this book again?
And Amazon, or you can reach me, Colleen A. Francis at Gmail, and you can get a signed copy. It's $20 for the book plus shipment. Okay?
There you have it. So she, with many hats, the four hats what she have, she has, would, and the book. I haven't. I'm gonna get my copy. I'm guilty.
Yeah, you have to read it.
Yeah, I have to read it and see what I can learn from it, and then either to use it to help myself, um, um, to a level of that I can probably help someone, because I've known people going through these things. I've known people one on one that go through these things. So maybe reading the book, understanding it, give me some insight of how I can share and to help these other individuals.
Yes.
I don't know if I would reach this point in time. I don't know. I'm not gonna knock it. I will always. I usually say never say never. Sometimes some people when I oftentimes hear, "Oh, I will never do this. I will never do that."
Yeah.
I remove that from my vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. Because you never know when you're in a situation.
And it doesn't necessarily you have to premeditate that situation to go and
Mm-hmm.
do it. You may fall in that situation because you may force
By
to do it,
circumstances.
or by circumstances. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a sense, it's not you planning it at the end of the day. So, if you're coming from that level that, yeah, well, I was forced, it wasn't me planned to do it. But at the same time, in the context, you still wind up doing it. So, I remove that thing from my vocabulary because at the end of the day, I don't know what life will throw at me. And for me to say I would never do certain things, I would never do certain, yes, certain things I don't have no intention on this God
Mm.
planets to do, but I don't know what circumstance is gonna push me into or what situation I'm gonna wind up to where I wind up doing what I said I will never do. But anyway, without further ado, we thank you for stopping by the garage and sharing our for calling to share our thoughts with us. And you know we have many more episodes,
Yes.
thousands, hundreds of more episodes to discuss because this is so broad.
Mhm.
It's not going to end anytime soon. This is eternity discussion when it comes to relationship because we none of us will never master this. We'll never master this. It's always it's a growing learning process for us, and we will never stop learn when it comes to this environment. But anyway, thank you, Colin,
Yes.
for coming
Thank
by
you
here
for
at the
having me.
garage,
Thank
and
you for having me.
until next time,
Yes.
I hope that we will continue this love discussion and that this would help someone out there.
Yes.
Well, again, until next time, same place. See you. Peace out.